Use social media to build your authority. It isn't about waiting to be recognized. It's about just showing up and claiming that space. I am the expert. I am the person you need to see. I'm your go-to person and I will help you with this. Welcome to the Bold Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jen Kinal, and this is a space where bold moves meet inspired action. Join us as we dive into stories, strategies, and mindset of those who are building their dreams, creating impactful communities, and redefining success on their terms. Whether you're looking for practical business tips, a boost of inspiration, or a community that gets your vision, you are in the right place. Get ready to elevate your journey and embrace what it means to be a bold founder. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Bold Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jen Kinal, and today we are diving into a topic that is foundational for every entrepreneur. I know. You just wait. Building authority and community through social media while standing in your power. I feel like you may have already just gone, ugh, it's so frustrating. I know for social media is frustrating, which is why we're really going to talk about this. But I want to talk a little bit about showing up. Obviously, we're going to go through some of the strategy aspects of it, but really showing up in your authority, owning your expertise, creating a strong community, and positioning yourself as an industry leader. That is going to be a massive shift in how you use social media, but also how you are seen in social media. So in this episode, we're going to go through key strategies I've used to establish credibility for myself and for my clients. We're going to grow an engaged audience and how to confidently show up as the authority in any space. All right. So let's talk about why social media is a non-negotiable for entrepreneurs today. I know many entrepreneurs are very frustrated with social media, and I'm probably one of them who does have her days where she's like, it's just so draining because you put so much effort and energy into these things and you're looking at the numbers. I'm going to say right now, let's just scrap the idea of numbers. Yeah, we'll use them a little bit to understand what our audience is doing, but don't look at the numbers. I mean, if you're really looking at the numbers, think about how many of those, for me, if I just have one person look at my social media and then that converts, it's amazing, right? That's one reoccurring revenue client who's now a social media agency client, right? So that is incredible. We don't always need to have a massive amount of followers in order to be successful with social media. So I just wanted to put that out there first. Just let's put the numbers aside. There is a time and place for them, but please don't let that be your focus because there's so much more important things that we're going to talk about in this episode that is not related to your numbers. Okay, so non-negotiable. This is why it is a non-negotiable for entrepreneurs. I say this because I have been in the industry for a long time. I've been an entrepreneur, maybe not social media industry, but I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I started my very first company in 2006, although I feel like I had it in my heart forever before that. I was making jewelry when I was younger, everything. I was a crafty person who would do everything, painting, all the things. Anyways, back in 2006, when I did my event planning company, we had a website, but there was no social media at that time to really market yourself and get in front of your target audience. So really we had to go to networking events, or we'd have to go find, we'd go door to door almost. We'd pick clients that were big enough that would host events, and we would go try to book appointments with them so we could give them our card and get them thinking about what it would be like to work with an event planner. There was no platform other than your website and SEO to get yourself in front of your target audience. And so social media really is such a blessing and a privilege. The fact that we get to create this online portfolio that extends past our website. Our website is great for that, but social media is so much different because it gives way more of a behind the scenes look into who you are, how you like to work, the style of events that I did, the style, how you like to how the style of your work. If you're a graphic designer, let's say you have a different style. There's very corporate graphic designers, and then there's very playful ones. It just allows people a chance to get into your head a little bit more and see a little bit more what it would be like to potentially work with you. It is such an incredible way to show up for your potential clients and allow them to, like I said, get that sneak peek that I never had when I started my event planning business, because we just didn't have that as an option. So it really honestly is such a privilege, and it is a non-negotiable, because even if we take the numbers out and let's say our numbers are terrible and who cares, all it takes is one person to come. I remember people coming to my website when social media became more of a thing and then I started utilizing it for my event planning business, I would really take a lot of video. Not a lot of people at that time were doing video on their social media. So I would have people from like the Whitewood Bar and they're getting married there and they saw video of my previous wedding there and they were like, oh, I just love it. Everything she did is exactly what I want. We are going to hire her. Like that wouldn't have happened if it was just a website, because we don't always update our website as often as we do our social media. We don't share the behind the scenes. We don't go into detail. So if that person is looking at, specifically, she found like the tablescapes that I did, but she also wouldn't have had the chance to see the arches and the decorations at the ceremony site, because you don't, like, sometimes you have them all bundled up on your website, but not always, and they're not always updated as often as you want. But social media, I could show the whole tablescape, then I could show the ceremony, then I could show what we did for the bar, then I could show what the dance floor looked like. Like, there's so many things that you can showcase, way more detailed, way more like behind the scenes that anyone would ever get just from being on social media. So it is a great way to get in front of your target audience, and numbers doesn't always equate to more sales, right? That's kind of why I don't like to talk about numbers as much, because I don't think they're as important. So it really does go beyond posting and becomes more of a tool for connection, credibility, and conversion. So yes, I can post this out there, and instead of them just looking at a picture, they have an opportunity to ask me questions. They have an opportunity to even just comment, and then I can like check in on who they are and why they're loving this tablescape, right? It's a great way for you to figure out who's kind of lurking and maybe giving you a little bit of comments, but also to start creating communication with them, right? Like you can say, oh, when's your wedding? And that's so exciting. I love that venue. So then they already know that you've worked at that venue, right? Like there's so much opportunity to create connection, and obviously the credibility piece, because they get to see so much more of your personality and your knowledge. And if you're using social media right, you should be nurturing your audience in terms of telling them like what you know, your knowledge that you've gone through. Like I could tell you forever how much I know about events, because I've seen and done all of it. I've seen all the like issues that arise. I have seen and done so many different styles of weddings. I've done so many different timelines of weddings. I've seen when vendors don't show up and what you have to do behind the scenes so that the bride and groom never know. Like that is all your credibility pieces. So we can put that all into social media too. So it's not just like that portfolio piece, it's also your knowledge and expertise. And then also asking for the conversion. So like the sales. So honestly, there's so much good available to you when you take advantage of social media and what it has to offer. And it's just really important to show up consistently. And we'll talk a little bit about that too, but showing up consistently on a regular basis, because the algorithm likes that. And so does your audience, because then they know that you're like around. But with value and intention and authenticity, it's so, so important and goes such a long distance when it comes to building that credibility on social media. So I wanted to start this with something that a lot of entrepreneurs feel when they are building a business and using social media, and that is imposter syndrome. It's such a real thing that people deal with. A lot of people who are not used to being in front of the camera get very nervous about that, and completely understandable. Do you think that I just showed up one day and was like, hey, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to like start dancing on Instagram? No, it did not happen that way. I'm actually a dancer my whole life, like dance ballet, jazz, tap, no, not tap, jazz, and my daughter danced tap, hip hop, but all the things, right? So you think that would be easy for me to jump on camera and do that? No, of course not. It's nerve-wracking, right? Like this is you putting yourself out there and then you watching yourself on video and then deciding, yeah, I'm going to hit post. That's a nerve-wracking thing. So one thing I always talk to my clients about is just taking baby steps. If you're really uncomfortable with being on social media, then why don't you start by posting, like hold your phone up and then have the item that you're talking about underneath it, right? So then you can talk and they can hear your voice, but they can't see you. And so that's a baby step into getting yourself showing up on social media and your audience getting to hear your personality and your voice, but you're not putting your face out there just yet, right? So that's just like a great way to first step into it. Or another way is to put yourself on camera where you're holding your phone and you're looking like you're talking to the camera, but you're really focusing also about what's behind you, right? Or you can do a little snippet of like you saying, hey, today we're right at whatever market you're at. And then you can flip the camera and showcase what's going on in the market, right? You don't need to have your face on every single thing. And I encourage you to just start little, start small. The first time I did a dance video, do you think I posted it immediately? No, I probably filmed it, deleted it, filmed it again, deleted it again, filmed it, and then saved it for a month before I actually hit post on it. And then I started to realize that I really loved doing that. And so I think we just need to get over the fact that maybe we're nervous about it and give ourselves the grace to figure it out and learn. All right. So it is real, imposter syndrome, but it doesn't really have to dictate how you show up. Just even a shift in your mindset can really help you show up more on social media by saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to challenge myself to put my face out there and to feel good about that. Okay, the other side of imposter syndrome, there's a side where we're showing okay, I'm nervous to show up. I don't feel confident in showing up. There's also the side of imposter syndrome, who am I to show up? I'm not the expert. Well, really, I mean, everybody probably has this at one point where they're like, oh, it's just me. It's just me. I'm just a mom. And right, we have this inferiority because we see incredible people showing up. They also did not just show up like that immediately. They took their baby steps and they figured out their messaging and what they really wanted out of social media. And then they started taking the steps to get out of their comfort zone and push themselves. So I want you to go from the mindset of I'm not an expert into I am a leader in my industry. And even that sometimes can feel it's a little scary to actually say it. But if you stop for a moment and give yourself the credit for the work and the knowledge and the experience you have, yes, you are a leader in the industry. If you can talk on your topic for hours on end without having any moments where you're I have no idea, you are a leader in your industry and you need to start owning that. You need to start owning that for yourself and you need to start owning that for how you show up on social media. And it will make a massive difference in your business growth and also in your community and the trust that you're building with them. So the key to that is really confidence and knowing your value and then communicating it effectively. I want you to also think about, okay, how am I going to communicate that? It really is important to dive into your messaging when it comes to what you're going to be posting. Who is your target audience? This is for every single business at any point in their business. You're probably going to review this multiple times as your business shifts and pivots and adjusts to whatever it is that you're feeling is the priority for your business. But think about your messaging, who your target audience is, how you are supporting them, how this is going to translate into your goals, and that needs to be top priority in everything that you do. Okay, so I just wanted to pop that in there. That is probably a whole another complete topic, which I'm probably gonna do a podcast on now that I've really talked about the messaging portion, because I feel that is so key when it comes to your social media. Okay, and so that's coming now that I've put it out there. I also think you need to think about why your audience needs you to take up space and to lead the conversation, right? So if you're not going to lead that conversation, who is? And maybe you've got more information to share on that. Maybe just the way your life experiences have shaped how you feel on that topic. And that's really going to help people. Maybe you're just more relatable in terms of where you're at in your lifestyle or how you speak. There's a lot of things that I will share. I feel I'm a pretty open book in terms of my life, and I will share things that maybe are a little bit harder for me, but in hopes that I want my audience to relate to them. Yes, but I hope that my experiences have helped them, which is kind of why I do share my rock bottom moment of losing my event planning company to COVID and pivoting. And that was such a hard time. It took me a long time to not cry over that. I was on stage even this year, and it gets me very emotional sometimes. And I did cry on stage, but I was so nervous about crying on stage because that's what I do. Anyways, I want you to really just think about why you specifically need to be on social media and showing up, because there is some person out there waiting for someone that they can relate to help them with whatever it is that you're doing. And until you show up, they're still looking for that person. They're still looking for you. So you really do need to take your authority and your knowledge and your information and just show up in your space and start leading the conversation, because who else is going to, right? And like I said, yeah, there could be amazing people who are doing it, but maybe they just don't relate to them, right? And so you need to do that. You need to show up. Okay, so we're going to move off a little bit of the whole like showing up confidently because I feel like I really went into that because it's such a struggle for so many people. And I really want you to realize that you are an incredible person and that you have so much knowledge to offer. And sometimes we just need to see that in ourselves. And we also have to be confident to just take baby steps to put ourselves out there. And if you don't feel confident, borrow my confidence and try it. And eventually you will be like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this, no problem. I dance all the time on Instagram videos now. Like, I'm not young, like all these young girls who are doing there's like awesome dances that I'm admiring. I'm not like, well, I am young, but not that young. And so I just like that was one of my hindrances, right? So if I can do it, you can do it. Okay. Let's talk about social media, your portfolio, aka your grid and homepage, like your username, profile, everything. Okay. I really think that this is your portfolio, which is why I said the portfolio. Like it's almost like coming to your website and you've got to go look at the gallery and that's your portfolio there. Your social media is your portfolio. It is a chance for your audience to come in and get that first impression of you. And I will be honest with you, people will decide immediately if they're going to dig a little bit more or if they're going to leave. How many times have you looked on Reels and found someone's feed and been like, oh, this is so cool. And then you go to their whole profile page and you're like, yep, nope, I'm not jiving with this person. I'm not relating to this person. And then you leave. Versus you find someone who gives you knowledgeable information and you're like, that was really good. I'm going to check out more. And then you get to their page and it like tells you all the different things you can learn from them in terms of graphics, or they just have really fun personal images of themselves being like a real person. That's kind of what I love about seeing people's posts is, yeah, you're going to get a mix of like some graphics that say, here's what you can do, da da da. So I know exactly what I'm going to learn from this person, but also just like pictures of them. I'm not a huge fan of like straight carousels because I think that it needs some personality infusion in it. But I do love the idea of like a carousel and then a reel or photo of like the person. It just gives a little bit of personality. That's also my personal opinion because I like to see the person behind the business. But your portfolio profile page really is your first impression. And so we want to make sure that it aligns with our brand, but it also says, hey, come look and listen some more. Let me introduce you to more of what I do and more of how I can help you. So we really want to make sure that one, if we start from the top to the bottom, we think about what our bio says and our username says. Does your username say your business or your name? I have it personally as my name. And then underneath it is like my description of what I do. And so it's got like social media agency in there. But you want to make sure your description and your bio all point to, I think your name is important because that is searchable. I've met a girl. Actually, I met my original podcasting coach at a conference and I knew her name was Callie. And then I went and searched Callie and I couldn't find her anywhere. So I had to come up to her the next day and be like, I can't find you on social media. And then I find out she didn't have it in there. But after I told her that, she added it in there. And now she becomes searchable. So make sure you have your name in there because it's really important for people to be able to search and find you. Instagram is really good at taking like your SEO and your searchability in terms of like names and what you do, and allowing people to find you that way. So make sure you put your name in there. Make sure you tell people what you do and how you can help them and give them like a really good like welcome into who you are. Your profile page should also be something close up. So if they've met you in person, they're like, oh yeah, that's the person I met. And if it's a full body shot, they're gonna be like, I think that's her. But I mean, her head's so small, I can't really see it, right? So make sure that you have your profile picture that looks like you, is recent, not too old. Make sure you're telling people exactly how you can help them. Think about search engine optimization, SEO, so that people can search for you and then find you easily. So like if I put social media agency, that's gonna help people find me, or social media educator, or I put the Be Bold conference on there because then also that tells people that the Be Bold conference link is in my bio, but it's also searchable. So if you wanted to go, but you want to see what's happening next, like what happened previously, you could even use that hashtag and that would still pop up because of it's got the search engine optimization. All right. I had in here, include your name, what you do for SEO purposes. Avoid too many emojis. I don't like when you see too many emojis. I don't have a problem with emojis. I think emojis are great, but don't make your whole page filled with emojis or your whole bio filled with emojis, right? Like pick the ones that are the most relatable and relevant to you and relevant to what you're posting. Sometimes I'll put like a finger pointing down so that people will go to that. But don't put too many because one, you're taking up character space with every emoji, and also it just kind of looks messy. Just keep it nice and clean if you can keep it so it doesn't have to like go below the fold, which means like basically where Instagram says that's too much text and it kind of covers it up and you have to click more to get more. Try and keep it as little text as possible. And then just, yes, clean and professional. So not too many emojis. There is the debate over the grid aesthetic. It really doesn't have to be perfect. I think that nowadays people don't want perfection. I still have like the perfectionist tendencies where I like a beautiful, visually appealing grid. This is going to be how I think you need to think about how you enjoy your grid, how your audience enjoys your grid, and how it is reflective of you and your brand when people come to your page for the first time, or even people that follow you regularly. How does it look to them when they come? So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should align with your brand. So if your brand is fun and energetic, then reflect that in your visuals. My brand is pink and energetic, so my grid has a lot of movement. It's got fun photos. The graphics is emphasized. The graphics I use emphasize my messaging. There's definitely some pink in there because it just aligns with my brand. The graphics and fonts and colors will also help to reinforce your brand identity and clarify your content. This is probably another whole episode that I could do is strictly on the branding part of your business. Anyways, I do want you to think, okay, what is visually appealing for my audience and what is not? So we've gone from a point where Instagram used to be extremely, extremely curated, and it's no longer that way, which is really nice because it takes a lot of stress and pressure off of making your grid look perfect, into a place that has become a little bit, they want real, like super, super real. And so that went from super curated grid to not curated whatsoever. And honestly, like it didn't even matter what was your cover photo on your reels because as long as you just posted consistently, it didn't matter. I personally like to have kind of a blend. So it's really not curated. It's more on the realistic, real life kind of side. But I like to have it, like if I'm going to have a cover photo on a reel, I do want it to tell you either what the reel's about, or I want it to be like my face in a nice position, not like mid-turning where you can't see anything. It's just a blur. I still want to make sure that the cover gives you a representation of who I am. And like a blur doesn't tell you anything, right? Like if it's mid-movement, it doesn't tell you anything. I also really like to use graphics because they are such a great way to say, hey, this carousel that I just posted here, or this reel that I just posted here. I mean, you're not going to say like this reel, but when you're looking at it, it's like learn how to, I don't know, plan an event in 5 days, right? That's like a call to action right there. And they're like, oh, I want to know how to plan an event in 5 days. Like, how is that even possible? I mean, if you want to plan a really good big one, you cannot do it in 5 days, but that's my example. And so I just like the mix of having real people, but then also like a couple call to action, kind of a graphic image on there. So people understand what it is they're looking at past just your profile bio telling you what they do. It's nice if it's also included in your grid. Again, look at other people in your industry, look at other people who are not in your industry, see what they're doing. What are you really visually attracted to? And then see if you can bring that look into your own business, but of course, keeping it within your own brand, your own colors, your own energy, your own vibe. If you're dark and moody type of like I've seen lots of florists who create this dark, moody type of visual, then go for that and create that so that when your target audience comes to your website or to your social media page, they can be like, ooh, yeah, I love how she designs these flowers and the color tones she picks. There's been wedding planners who post like all their weddings seem to be in blushes and whites and creams, and that's amazing for them. Go for it. And you're really going to start pulling the audience that is like the people that are gravitating to those colors because they want to know more about what you did and how you did it. And then eventually they're like, oh, maybe I should actually work with her, right? Me personally, I loved doing like anything creative and not having to be the same. So I had a lot of variety in mine, but I really loved the design aspect. So there was a lot of design focus on mine. So think about who your target audience is and what you're wanting to attract. And does your social media profile reinforce that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we can use social media to grow our business. We're going to break it down into reels, carousels, and stories because these are the most important ones that I find making an effort or moving the needle. So we're going to start with reels. I also want to preface this by saying there's a lot of people on social media like experts who will say this is how you grow, you need to post, and this is like, it changes for every expert, but a lot of them are like, you need to post 2 reels a day and that's going to make you successful and get you to the most followers, or you need to post 7 days a week, or you need to just do carousels, like whatever it is. I don't personally believe in that. I don't think that every single person, if they follow the exact same formula, is going to get the exact same results. I think you really need to look at your audience and see what they are enjoying, what they are soaking up when you're putting out, and then also look at what kind of content you like to create. So I'm going to just say that first to start that off. We'll kind of dive into that a little bit further, but I wanted to make sure that was out there before we started talking about reels, carousels, and things, because like it was for a while that carousels is the only way you're going to grow. Like, I just want you to keep an open mind on everything. And I'll tell you the 3 different, like the reels, carousels, and stories, why all of them are super effective and how you can use them. Okay. So let's start with reels. Reels is really like video content, which is probably my favorite because you get so much more out of video content than you do a still photo, right? You get to see somebody smiling or laughing or having fun. You get to see their knowledge if they're talking to you in a reel. You get to see just like the behind the scenes. There's just so much more you can see from a reel. It is such a great way to showcase your authority, but also your personality. We can also have moments where we share like behind the scenes. We can share fun moments. We can share expert insights. These really help your audience to know who you are and to get to know you so much faster than like a static post. So reels can really help you expand, and they can really help you expand if they pop into the reels feed. That is a great way for them to get in front of new audiences. I'm going to take a moment just to explain how that happens. So you post your reel and it posts to a handful of your current followers, typically your most engaged followers. And it's going to see what they do with that reel. If they liked that reel and they get a lot of engagement right away, then they'll send it to a couple more, like another handful of your followers. And again, they're going to like look and see how that reel is performing. And if it's performing really well, then eventually it's going to post it into the reels feed, which allows you to be in front of other audiences. So that's a really great thing that Reels offers, is it just gives you an opportunity to get in front of more people and more targeted people. It's not just going to throw you in front of like more random people. If you think about what your content is on social media, or how you engage on social media, like when I go into the Reels, the algorithm pays attention to what I'm liking, what I'm saving, and then it starts to give you more of that. So it's going to categorize your reel and what the topic is, and then it's going to weave it into the Reels feed that fit those people that are still looking for that specific topic. So it's really smart that way. Just know that when you are doing Reels, it's going to give you an opportunity potentially to get in front of more target audiences, which is why they do say that Reels is what is going to help you grow your business in terms of like, or grow your business, but also grow your following and your audience. So really great thing to have. It's really great for your current audience because they get to see the behind the scenes of everything and they feel like they get to know who you are, but it also invites people to come and find you. And again, think about what those people are doing. They are coming to they find you in the Reels feed. They're like, oh, I really like this information. Let's find out more from this girl. And then they're going to go to your feed and they're going to find out more information from your feed. And then it just continues like that. So I want you to think about like, how are they what is their journey like? They find you on the Reels grid, they go to your feed, they see your portfolio, they get to see like who you are a little bit more, how you can help them. Is there a link in the bio for them to explore more? Go onto your website, go join a mailing list where they're getting a freebie. Like, how are we taking them on a journey through our social media? So something really important to kind of just throw in there. Next, let's talk about carousels. Carousels is such a good tool for nurturing your existing audience. So it doesn't really I've seen a few, not recently though, a few carousels that have gone into the Reels feed. I have not seen that recently for quite some time, so I don't know if that's been taken away again. But I wouldn't focus on carousels growing your audience that is not existing. I think it's way more powerful for your existing audience. It's about nurturing them, right? So it really allows you to dive deeper into specific topics like proving your expertise and your knowledge. So for example, I use carousels to break down how events can grow your business with actionable steps. So that person can actually like go to your carousel and be like, oh, I love this idea of how I can create actionable steps to plan my event. Then they swipe to the next one and it's like step 1, swipe to the next one, step 2. And you can go, let's say we do 5 steps and then the last one is like a call to action, right? So the nice thing is you've taken them, instead of having them read your caption, because that seems to be a little bit lower now in terms of engagement and what people are doing, but they like the idea of swiping through a carousel because not only is it like information that you are in control of the reading speed, but also it is visually appealing because it's in this grid or this graphic, it's in your branding colors, and it is in bite-sized pieces versus the caption sometimes can look really long and you're like, I don't have time to read this right now. But you could take that same amount of information and put it in a carousel and people are more likely to read it. Then the other thing that I like about carousels is carousels are showing up 2 times in your audience's Instagram feed. So it'll show up the first time and it'll note like if you pay attention, if the person pays attention to it or not. There's been plenty of times where I've been like, oh yeah, I should read that. And then I like get busy and I don't get to look at it. Or I'm like, oh, I'll read that later. I'll come back to it later. And then I get busy and then you're like, oh, you completely forgot. And then the next time you open up Instagram, it is like, oh, here's slide 2 of that carousel just to remind you that this was available for you and this information has been put out and I think you're going to like it. So we really want to focus when we are creating carousels, this is a little trick, is to make sure the first and second slide are really enticing, right? Like we want the first one to be like really eye-catching. It's like a hook, something that they're going to be like, oh, I need to know more about that. And the second one is we want it to be, obviously we want them to continue swiping and learning the knowledge, but if they don't pay attention the first time it pops up in the feed, we want the second time it pops up on their feed with slide 2 to be like, oh yeah, I want to know this too, right? So we've given them 2 reasons why we need to go and learn and swipe and learn more about what is going on. And the more we can do this, the more that we have a better chance of it actually getting like further down, them diving further down into our content, right? So we just need to make sure the first 2 are always attention grabbing. I also like to make sure the last one is attention grabbing or has a call to action on it because we want them to move. Like we're always thinking of that journey. Where are they going from there? Are we just asking them to save it for later? Because saves help you with the algorithm. Are we asking them to comment? Are we asking them to write like events, which is what I always use for my conference, and that will give you an auto DM link to my conference tickets. So just always thinking customer journey, where are they going? So the carousels are such a great way to build trust and loyalty and to really nurture our audience by delivering really great value. Plus, like I said, if they're coming from the Reels feed and they're brand new to you, carousels are great to have in your grid because it kind of tells them beyond what is in your bio what other content you have available. Super easy for them to just like touch and be like, yep, I want to know more about this. So I love the mix of a Reels, photos, and carousels. I also love the idea of throwing a couple of carousels in there of like my month. Like this is what happened in February. Not everybody takes photos. So if you're not like a photo person, then don't stress about this. But it's really a nice way for people to get to see behind the scenes and behind the business of what is going on with this person, because people really do start to fall in love with the people behind the brand and the business, and they like to see what's going on in their lives. So silly, but if you think about it, I like to know what's going on with my favorite boutiques like owner. It's cool to see what's behind the scenes. It's cool to see that they have kids my kids' age and that they're also in hockey. Like this is super cool to see that sort of thing. All right, let's move on to stories. Stories, I love stories. I think stories is such a great place for those people that are like a little bit nervous about showing up on social media and putting their face on camera. Stories is such a great way to give it a try because one, it's not a reel. It's not going to sit on your grid forever. I mean, you could technically delete it if you want, but it is like a quick 24-hour post that could be gone in seconds. You could, again, just like I said, have just your voice over top of like a product that you're sharing the product that's on your shelves, or it could be you quickly talking about where you're at, like, hey, we just got coffee today and doing this like photo. The team's going to do this photo shoot today, so we're going to show us some behind the scenes, or today I just wanted to really celebrate my team and I'm bringing them in coffee. Like this is just such a great way to show a little bit of who you are and your personality, but in more casual way, a day in the life sort of thing, and sharing spontaneous moments. So I feel like it's way less pressure than having to create like the content for your grid. Plus, people really love following your journey. One of my favorite things to do, and probably one of the most loved things to do, is to share a day in the life of a social media manager. This is not glamorous, just so we're well aware. Like, I come down from my upstairs where I've had my breakfast and my coffee, and I come and sit into this room, and I like sit here all day almost. I'll go out for lunch, I'll come back down after lunch, and I'll work, and then I'll go get my kids. Like, it's not super glamorous, but I can show you little inside things that I'm working on. Like, I can put my camera so it's like here facing, so it's to my left and it's facing my computer, and I can show you exactly what I'm working on in terms of graphics. So this is what the graphic looks like. Here's how the marketing calendar gets planned out. So then you can see what it's like to have your marketing calendar planned by a graphic designer. It's just an amazing way to show the behind the scenes. So things like we think are normal, and I've said this before, sometimes we think that what we know how to do is like everybody should know how to do that. Everybody should know how to do social media. A lot of people are very challenged by social media and don't understand the algorithm and don't understand how to play the algorithm game, right? And so those are great little tidbits to share. Even if I'm just doing something and I'm posting, I'm like, oh, just so you know, I'm creating this grid for this marketing calendar for my client. We have this launch coming up, so I wanted to make sure that we had a couple carousels that really like educated our audience on the specific topic. I wanted to make sure we had testimonials thrown in there. I wanted to make sure that there was like a calendar a countdown calendar that was in there, so people knew like the date that was coming in. Like, these are things that I think are so normal, and a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And so when you show the behind the scenes of your business, like I said, it's not exciting being a social media manager. There's probably so much that I could share in one day just that I do for my clients that I'm like, oh, maybe my audience might want to know this. Like, that's a good thing, right? It's also a really, really good way to create loyalty with your audience and for them to truly connect with you. Because like I said, you get this like inside look into who the person is behind the business, or who the team is behind the business, or what the process is that they have going on to make the result that you get. So it's such a great way to invite people in a nice and easy casual way. Plus, Stories has like some really cool tools that you can take advantage of. So like the polls. Polls are really great. We see lots of fashion boutiques where they'll go to their shows, where they're buying shows, and they'll be like, what do you like? Do you like this or that? And it gives your audience a little bit of input, right, into what they're bringing in for the next season. And so that's a great way for your audience to feel involved, but also to boost your engagement. And every time you boost your engagement, the algorithm sees that and they're like, oh, people are liking this. We should show them more of her. Take advantage of Q&As. Sometimes those Q&A posts, like I just posted, actually I post fairly regularly, Q&As where I'm like, can you give me your best books that you love to read right now? Or can you give me your true crime podcast? I'm going on a trip, right? It doesn't have to be business related. And then I'll share those results because I think it's really fun for whoever like posted in them to also get to see everyone else's answers. And then we all get to like learn what the best true crime podcasts are, because I love them. And there's just lots of really good interactive features that you can take advantage of. And they kind of always change. There's mostly the staples in there, but I would definitely take advantage of the polls, the Q&A. There's also like the little emojis that you can put on and people just touch them, and that gives you a little bit of a boost. We can throw links on there. I think putting a link in your stories is massively powerful, because anything we can do to make it simpler for our audience is going to be the best thing ever, which is why I love having links in my stories. I love having I use ManyChat for the auto DMs. I just want to make it so simple. Everyone is lazy or they get easily distracted. I'm probably both of those. If I can't find the link quick enough, I'm going to move on. And if I can't find the link enough and something else pops up, I'm going to move on. So if I can make it as simple as possible, then that is like key. All right, we talked all about the like actual tools and how to use them. I could probably go on more on each and every one of those. See, this is the type of content you should post. Things you could talk about forever. But now we're going to talk about the things you should be posting. And so I want you to really think about what are your business goals and your targets, because that should definitely be infused into your posts and what you're talking about in terms of content. So if I'm going to be launching something, Just let's say, for example, I just launched, I don't know, maybe a month ago now. It was my workshop that I was doing for events and how to plan events. I just wanted you to come into the workshop so I could teach you how to plan events, but in a like very actionable strategy kind of a way, where we went through the actual like steps of planning events, but I wanted you to be able to ask me questions. It's like having an event planner in your back pocket, right? So I create a whole marketing calendar based on, I really wanted to fill up these workshops. So think about what your target goals are, and then you want to make sure that your content is directing to that thing, right? So if we're in a launch period, we obviously want to have our content specific to whatever that sale is, launch, product, whatever it is, and really focus on that. And I would extend that out like over quite a long period of time, because people are not going to buy if you've only been talking about it for 1 week and they're like just warming up to the idea, right? We want to actually build almost like a nurture sequence and then the sales sequence. So if you're not in the sale aspect of it, we are in the nurture aspect of social media, which means you're providing content that builds the trust. So typically you are in nurture for like most of your social media time, and then we want to pinpoint when we're going to have a launch of something. So let's say I talk about a few things for content. I talk about social media stuff, I talk about the Be Bold conference, and I talk about events and how you can use events to plan your own events. So I would, let's say, if I had the workshop that I used as an example, let's say in February I was going to launch this workshop, but January I decided, nope, we're just gonna like, beginning of January, we're gonna talk a little bit about events, but getting closer to the end of January, I want to start talking about, beginning of January, we're gonna talk mostly about social media, but I know that I've got an event workshop coming up, and so we need to shift away from social media and start nurturing on the event side of it. And so I'll nurture for 2 to 3 weeks on just the event side, and I'll leave the social media alone for a little bit, nurture on that event side, and then it goes into your launch period, which is like a week to 2 weeks of like, not hard sell, but way more focused content on that specific launch of the workshop, mastermind, whatever it happens to be, right? So we want to think about how we are always warming our audience up, especially if we have something big that we're launching. We want to make sure they're like thinking about it for quite a while before we're like, now buy, right? Or now I invite you to take this workshop or join this masterclass. I like the word invite instead of sales. It's just my thing. Anyways, let's move on to analytics. I said we would talk about analytics and the numbers later on. So now is later on. Let's talk a little bit about numbers and what that means in terms of social media. Again, I don't use the numbers like most people do. I don't like the thought of going viral. I don't use that as a strategy. Some people do. I don't think that's the key to social media. That I'm not trying to go viral and get in front of as many people as possible. I'm trying to get my content in front of the right people who are my ideal dream audience. So I don't typically look at the numbers as much. I really pay attention more to the analytics so that I can see what they are liking, what they're not liking. So when you go to Instagram, you can go into your insights and you can kind of see what kind of content people are liking. There is a little bit of a shift depending on if you are a personal creator or business account. I am a business account, so I do get all the analytics. I don't believe personal gets analytics, but you guys should probably be in the business account anyways because you're doing business on Instagram. That does sometimes limit your music and stuff like that. Sometimes you can put yourself as a creator and it'll still give you some analytics and the music. So that's kind of the nice thing. So you're probably going to be in the creator or the business aspect of it. Anyways, analytics. I like to go in the analytics. I always put it to the 30 days. Don't do the 7 days. That's not enough content for them to analyze and give you a good idea. Go to the 30 days. You're going to look at it and see how much engagement you've been getting. How many, I'm going to pull it up right now. Okay, so it's going to give you the views you've got on all your content. It's going to give you the interactions and engagement. It's also going to give you the new followers, and then it's also going to give you a breakdown of the content shared. There's way more that I'm actually going through really in here because, again, this is like deep diving, but we want to look at our views and we want to see what percentage is followers, what percentage is not followers. If you scroll down, like it'll give you a lot of information, like how many reels, like are reels mostly where your stuff's coming from, are stories mostly where your stuff's coming from, who's getting the most engagement on them. But what I like to look at the most is by top content, it says. So you can see which content is getting the best engagement and reactions and everything from your audience. And so when we do this, the nice thing about doing this is we can see, okay, like for me right now, my podcast is actually getting the most, which is amazing. So then I get to look at that and be like, okay, sometimes I feel like maybe the podcast isn't, but this is verifying that the podcast actually is getting probably the most views out of everything. It can also tell you which one is attracting the most new followers, what type of content is getting that, what type is getting the most interactions. And interactions would be like likes, comments, saves, and shares, right? And so it's really interesting to be able to see that, because now if I look at it, my likes, comments, and saves actually isn't as much as the podcast. It is more my dancing videos. And so I just like to look at that, because the reason we look at that is because we can say, okay, my audience really enjoys X type of content. For me personally, typically they actually really enjoy my dancing and like reels transition ones the most, versus when I use the talking head. I don't even do the talking head that much anymore. Like the talking head means I'm just talking voice to, like it's just me in the camera and I'm just talking to you. I save that mostly for stories, but when I was doing that previously, it wasn't getting the engagement that I wanted in comparison to like the reels and the dancing ones. Everyone liked that. And that's probably because I came from a little bit more of a fashion influencer's background. And so my audience likes that side of it. It likes that fun part. And so I just started creating my content to be more focused on that. And why wouldn't I? That means I'm looking at what my audience is liking and what they're enjoying, and I'm giving them more of that. And then you can also look at the specific topics. So that's the kind of content, but you can look at the specific topics. What topics are doing better than others? Maybe my events is doing way better than when I talk about social media, right? So maybe your audience is like, no, give us more social media. And then you can be like, okay, I'll give you more social media information, and maybe I can create some sort of a template or course or something to give you more information, or even just maybe we need to have another podcast on this, right? Like, so Instagram insights can really help you determine what kind of content you should keep creating, start creating more of, and just help guide you. And if you listen to that, it will really help boost all of your Instagram analytics and numbers with what your audience wants, which is the key, because those are the people that are already loving up on you and more of a warm lead in terms of becoming a potential client for you. So, and then keep in mind, like I said, no, not one thing works for every single person. So some of my clients get the best engagement on carousels showcasing their properties, while others see way better results with reels. So we just want to think about what it is doing for each account or for yourself personally. Even when I look at my personal account versus when I have the Bold Founders account, same thing. They're getting like soaked up differently. And so we just want to pay attention to what our audience is responding to and then adjust it. All right, and social media is a really excellent way to build yourself up as the authority, the leader in the industry. I really think that is like the priority in terms of social media. We want to be the top go-to event planner, or the top go-to social media person, or the top go-to boutique. Like there's certain boutiques that I know always have my style in store. And so I always go to their social media so I can see what is new. So we want to position ourselves as the go-to person. But to do that, we really do need to post consistently. For example, if you were to look at my event planning page, it's still there. You can see all the stuff I've done, but I don't post to it at all. And that's just because I'm not trying to build that event side of my business. I'm only taking on specific events and specific events for specific people. And so why would I market it? However, if you were a new person, a new client, and you come to my website and then you go from my website to my social media page, you might look at it and be like, is this company still in business? Like, I don't even know, because they don't post anything. So I don't want you to not post. And then people are like, are they still doing it? Are they okay? Like, what's going on with them? So we do need to post consistently, and that is going to help obviously your audience and your potential customers know that you're still in business. But also, we lose our momentum when we take breaks. And I'm probably very guilty. I am very guilty for this. Sometimes I get so busy doing social media for my clients that my social media gets put to the back burner. So I will like build such incredible, great engagement, and then I like drop off. So it's really important to be consistent, because it really does help our business grow and to grow our credibility. So the best way to grow our credibility is to educate people on what we do, what we provide. We can do quick tips, how-tos, industry insights. We can share case studies and client results. Speaking on stages, guests on podcasts, or hosting your own events really help. And those all translate into social media later on. And we want to leverage testimonials and social proof. So it's really about how we differentiate ourselves in a crowded space and own our niche. And it's just by showing up consistently. If you do this consistently, if you show up consistently, and you really start to think about what your audience wants and what you want to, because you cannot just focus on what your audience wants and it's like a part of your business that you hate. We need to make sure it's something that you love also, and that they are valuing the content that you're sharing. And then finally, we want to talk about monetizing that authority. Once you've built your authority and you've built like your followers who are constantly showing up for you because they know that you are such a wealth of knowledge and information, we need to start putting in a strategy to convert that authority to income. So ways that we can monetize on social media is by offering like premium offers and services. We can share, here's what I do, here's the packages I have, DM me if you want to book a consult call, or use like ManyChat like I do, where I'd auto send you the links and you can book a consult call that way. We can talk about our speaking engagements and brand partnerships. Just because you're not an influencer doesn't mean that you can't have brand partnerships also. I could easily have a brand partnership with any company I wanted, as long as it, for me, and I would say this for anybody in business, as long as it really aligns with what you're doing and also is not conflicting with your current target goals and sales. And yeah, it also has to be someone you really, really love, because that will interfere with your authority if it's not and you're just doing it for the money. Another whole different topic. We can also look at doing digital courses, digital products, memberships. There's so many things that we can monetize. Or even if like you're a clothing company, maybe you just put out there what you've got in stock right now. That is my favorite thing, is watching people's stories and seeing what's coming, what's launching, what's new. And then like if it's new and then there's a countdown telling me when it's launching, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I know it's going to sell out, so I'm going to go and purchase it, right? So there's so many ways we can monetize it. But we need to think about it as not monetizing it or salesy. It's more about like saying, hey, here's an opportunity if you want to take it. You don't have to take it. You don't have to work with me. You don't have to buy these clothes, but I'm still going to do it because maybe it's not this time, but it's next time. There's been even like coaches I've worked with that originally I didn't buy them the first time, but then I followed them forever, like it was a whole year before she opened up her package again. And then I was like, that's it. I'm doing it. Right. So just put yourself out there. If it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't mean that they're not following and listening and watching for what happens next. And then it's really important to make sure you have clear call to actions. So how can they work with you? How can they read your caption and seamlessly find a way to your paid offers? So like I said, I use ManyChat for that. I always put links in my stories. It is in my link in the bio. So don't think the link in the bio is dead. We always want to make sure we're utilizing that. May not be used as much as it was in previous days, but that's also just because there's better options available. But again, make it as easy as possible for your audience to find your paid offers, because think of everyone as lazy or distracted. They might just miss it and they need to see it over and over again, right? So that is like a big thing, a big social media package in a nutshell today. And so I really hope you got a lot from it. I do want to do a couple of key takeaways, because I always do key takeaways. Social media, just think of it as your stage, your platform, your power, and use it wisely. Like, you have such an incredible opportunity to put your business out for people to see, and it's just up to you to take it. So use it wisely and take what I shared today and start utilizing those things, even if it's just one thing. That one thing can help you. And then also, use social media to build your authority. It isn't about like waiting to be recognized. It's about just showing up and claiming that space. Like, I am the expert. I am the person you need to see. I'm your go-to person and I will help you with this. Don't wait for somebody to be like, can you please talk about this? No, just do it. And then check to see how it resonated. And maybe you need to talk about it a couple times before your audience like, oh yeah, right? Give it a really fair chance and go for it. Community and engagement are honestly foundations of long-term success in your business. And so when you're on social media, don't think about it as selling or a sales strategy or a marketing strategy. Think of this as like a way that you can give back to your community and to your audience. And it is going to lead to success in the long run. And then finally, consistency comes from showing up, and confidence comes from showing up. So keep showing up, keep adding value, and honestly trust the process, because it's like it's like when you start a workout program and you're like, this isn't working and I'm not seeing the results. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. It is the exact same thing. The more you show up, the more your audience gets used to seeing you show up, and the more they start looking for you. The more they're like, ooh, I want to see what she's talking about today. Yesterday and the day before it was so good. Let's talk about more. Let's see what else she has to offer, because what she said yesterday really helped me. All right, that was a lot, but if this episode resonated with you, I really want you to start taking some action. That means big action, bold action, or even baby steps. But I do invite you to come join me at the Be Bold Conference on 2025 on October 7th at the Whitewood Barn. It's your chance to connect with like-minded women in business, build that authority we talked so much about, and create a powerful network that supports your growth. So grab your ticket today. Let's make bold moves together. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep showing up, standing in your power, and building a business that truly aligns to you. I'll see you in the next episode. And if you love this, please, please, please like it, share it, tag your bestie on social media, tag me so that I can see and hear what you loved about it. And I'll see you in the next episode. See you later.